I've literally had this conversation with Tristan. I said, if I had a son and he was doing the exact same shit I was doing, I don't know if I'd be able to allow him. Bro, I had a motorcycle, no helmet, GSXR 750, running from the cops, and bro, I was doing dumb shit. And it's like I could have been splattered so many times. Here I am. So it's difficult. But there's a lot of famous people and rich people who make sure their kids have no money, but it can't only be about having no money. It's about having no safety net. It's all about being ruthless enough to say to your son, listen, you're fucked up. Well, what do you mean you owe the mafia money? You're fucked up. And it's going to be hard to not bail his ass out because that's your son, right? But if it's your progeny and it's your bloodline, you're going to have to make sure that you're doing the right thing, because when there's always a safety net, it's different. It's different to jump off a building when there's always a bungee. It's just life's different. I lived my whole life without a safety net. That was it. What do you mean? Oh, I fucked up. I couldn't call anybody. And that teaches you something about life that I want my sons to have. I'm going to make sure they grow up in the correct environment. And that can be either artificially created by my brothers and my brother, my friends, my close people, and us having a lot of men around each other and a lot of young boys the same age. Because I think if they're hyper competitive, I think that's very good for them.
Yep.
I think that even if they're growing up in, let's say, a rich environment, if they're amongst 10 other boys basically the same age and it's daily some form of competition, they're going to have a fire lit inside of them. I think that's important. And a lot of it is, one of the great things about my current position is I have geographical freedom. So if I decided to have a son raised in fucking Manila or Moscow, it's hard. Life's hard, bro. I'm going to make sure his life's hard. I'm not going to have him in some suburban bullshit, because it's not just about me. I'm going to do my best to program my children, of course, but the entire world that they're living in is going to program them. The shit they watch on the internet is going to program them. The friends they're hanging around with are going to program them. If I put them in a nice suburbia, all their friends they're going to be going to their friends' houses and getting milk and cookies and everything's fine. And it's going to be hard to say, no, they're out to get you. The Matrix is coming. People are like, what do you mean the Matrix is coming? I go to Ryan's house. I just play Nintendo. Life's fine. So I need them to be around an environment where everyone else kind of understands that harsh realities. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability while also trying to protect him. I don't want anything bad to happen to my son. But in a worst case scenario, while we're being dead honest on this stream, or being completely honest, in a worst case scenario, if something bad happened to my child when I was doing my very best to turn him into the best version of himself, I still think I could live with that. I still think I could live with that, saying, you know what? I was doing my very best to make him the man. That's what my job is as a father. And shit happened and fucking whatever, and I'm gonna have to live with the consequences of it. But what's the alternative? Wrap him up in cotton wool and have a bitch? You have to take a degree of risk with it. You have to take a degree of risk and say, bro, you're in Moscow. You should have fucking shut your mouth. He's got a gun in your face. Well, you should have either fucking disarm him or fucking pay the bill. I ain't paying it.
You can't rob him from going through that pain, because then you make him weak.
Absolutely. And he's gonna and he may not know it at the time. He'll be happy I saved him, but in the long run he'll resent me for it, because he'll be like, well, dad saved me all the time, so now I'm a jackass. That's how it is. I think the worst possible experience, the worst possible masculine experience on the planet is being born rich, from having a rich dad and being one of them rich kids. Yep. I see these rich kids and it's the worst experience, because most men are living a very similar life path, except for those fuckers. Everyone on this panel and most of the people watching this show, we all have had a semi-similar life path. I say this, people say, oh, he's Tate, he's successful, whatever. I understand the struggles of everyone watching this show. We all went to school. We all weren't shit. We were all broke. We all wanted pussy we couldn't get. We were all fucking walked down the street and there was 10 boys got jumped. We've all been through that, right? Everyone's been through that shit except for the rich kid. He always had girls around his house because he had the swimming pool. So he always had the easy pussy, and he always got the ride to school, and he was always semi-popular because his parents had money, and he never had any physical threats, etc., etc. But he can't grow as an individual. And that's why those fuckers always end up on drugs or gambling or being weird, because they're unhappy deep inside. And I think that all that hardship and that life path, that's one of the most beautiful things about masculinity. Every man here and all of us here, we've lived very similar life paths. We've all done it. Now, we've become G's out of it. Some people have failed and given up and whatever, but the path and the story was the same. And I think robbing your son of that is going to be absolutely detrimental to his psychology. I've got to let my son struggle. And it can even be as basic as this. When I was in school, there was a little fat kid, but he had the swimming pool. So he always had the girls around his house because he had the swimming pool. And I used to say to even Tristan way back then, I was like, you know what? If he didn't have the swimming pool, he'd have to learn how to talk to a bitch. He'd have to get some game. He had no game. His game was, I got the pool. That's cool when you're fucking 15, but when you're an adult, having the pool ain't enough. but I have everything else. Right? I never had the pool. Now I'm top G. So even if I'm in a big house and my son's like, oh, I want to bring a bunch of girls around the mansion, we're like, fuck you. No, go to their house, dumbass. Get them to invite you in. That's how it's gonna have to be.